This episode of Super Boothers is brought to you by LA Photo Party, winner of 2016 and 2017's Best Photo Booth Design Award by the Photo Booth Network. LA Photo Party is one of the industry's top sources for photo booths like the brand new Venture, as well as software like Photo Booth Upload and Photo Party Upload. Visit their website at laphotoparty.com. Hello and welcome to Super Boothers. My name is Ryan.
And I'm Ismail.
We are so excited today. We have a huge announcement.
It's pretty big.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are hosting Super Boothers, A Night in Gotham.
And that's in New York City, for those of you who are not familiar with the Gotham reference.
We will be hosting A Night in Gotham on August 24th from 7 to 10. This is your chance to meet us in person. We're going to be doing dinner and a small little program where we'll be able to have a conversation with you, have thoughts, ideas.
Yeah, I'm super excited for this. If you've gotten any value from listening to the podcast, just imagine being there in person, not only with us, but with other people in your area. And there'll be surprises as well. We might have past guests there as well, in addition to potentially future guests. So you'll be getting a sneak peek at future content, and you'll be connecting with really influential people in the industry.
We have a lot of surprises for you. One of the big things I'm super excited for that I can tell right now is the swag bag, but I can't tell you what's in it. So it's absolutely going to be worth it. Tickets are $75 each, and you can purchase it on our website at superboothers.com. Click on the little button. We're announcing it today, so it'll be on the blog today.
Yeah, and it will definitely be worth the price of admission. I know from being at other events like the Expo in Vegas, just being around other boothers that are making things happen, the energy is infectious, and you take that away from the event with you, and you hopefully grow your business with that energy.
And in New York, $75 is like a drop in the bucket. I know that Ismail paid $75 for parking the other day.
That is actually true. It's not a made-up story. I paid more than $75 for parking in the city, so for $75 to get a dinner, hobnob with people in your industry, and learn from other influential leaders, it's a no-brainer.
And if you happen to bring me a birthday present, I won't be mad.
Take action quickly, because it's a limited seating type of event.
So one more time, if you're in the tri-state area on August 24th, come to Manhattan, come see us, get your tickets. We're going to be talking photo booths, ways to continue to grow your business, marketing efforts, website audits. It's all going to be so much fun. Take a look at our website and our blog, superboothers.com, and get your tickets today. Okay, enough plugging our event. Let's get to the show.
All right, so today's topic that we're excited to discuss actually came up in our Facebook group. So if you're not a part of the Facebook group, make sure you join it. It's Super Boothers. You can just search for it in Facebook. And special thanks to a loyal fan, Nikki Bowers Harrington, who started this discussion about employees. There was a lot of questions that she touched upon about, non-compete agreements versus non-disclosure agreements. And I guess we can start with that, Ryan. You want to jump in with that?
So I went ahead and she asked, she goes, when you hire employees, do you make them sign a non-compete? And what are the expectations with the employee agreement? She goes, I feel like I should have something in place as I continue to grow and add more people. And that is absolutely the case. You should. Depending on what state you're in, for example, I'm in Texas. Texas is a right to work state. So you can't prevent someone from doing a job that they're already trained, skilled, or degreed in. What I do is I have them sign a non-disclosure agreement. A non-disclosure agreement really binds them as far as discussing your business practices, as well as protects, your forms and the way how your business does things. I know in the past there have been people that have come to me that I know, and they have told me from the beginning that they were going to go off on their own. And I generally expect that. Whenever that kind of happens, I don't think I really reveal that much, just because if I'm going to invest in a person, I want them clearly to, be with me for a while. I've noticed that attendants generally kind of have a shelf life of about 2 years. So at about 2 years, you're either going to have an attendant that either moves up in your company or moves out. There's kind of really no in between.
Yeah, my stance on this is probably a little bit more unusual, so take it with a grain of salt. I think I agree with Ryan that I like to focus more on the non-disclosure agreements rather than the non-competes. I know that this is like common business practices that everyone generally just does, and you probably should do it just because
Just to protect
it doesn't
yourself.
hurt. Yeah, just to protect yourself. But I have a lot of friends in other industries, and I'm not a lawyer, but I've seen a lot of cases where the teeth of the non-compete agreement, the power to really enforce it, is kind of limited. It's usually limited to a certain time period, and depending on the state that you're in, like Ryan said, it may have other implications as well. So I like to always take a step back and look at things from the big picture. And I personally feel when you're relying a lot on things like non-compete agreements, the problem is that you're operating from a kind of a fear mindset of like, oh my God, if this person leaves me, what can they do? They're going to be a competitor. How am I going to succeed? And I'd rather operate from a different mindset of strength, right? I'd like to focus more on what I can do to grow my business, maintain my relationships with my clients, empower my employees, train them, have a path for them to grow into. I like to focus more on those things and not worry as much about potentially people leaving and starting their own business, because if they're an entrepreneur, just like you are, if you're listening to this, whether there's a non-compete agreement or not, you're not going to be able to like prevent people from spreading their wings. And I actually have other examples of friends in different industries. For example, I know a contractor who had an employee that he was kind of grooming to really grow in his business. And it turns out the employee had a different plan in mind, and he wanted to go off and start his own business. And what I really admired about this was my friend could have handled this in a lot of different ways. And he took the high road where he said, you know what? That's fine. I understand. I did the same thing. And rather than me getting upset with you and getting into a legal battle about non-competes and whatnot, let's see if we can work together. I have a lot of work. I know you. I trained you. I know you do good work. I would love to be able to pass some work on to you that I can't handle, and we both make some money. So I like to think of things more from that perspective rather than, kind of clenching your fists and trying to close things off. I don't know, Ryan, what you think about that.
That's a good perspective to have, and I truthfully really haven't thought about it like that. Normally, whenever, a business relationship or a real relationship ends, you're kind of just like, close the door off. I'm done with you. Never want to speak to you again. I think that's how it's kind of usually always operated. But it really doesn't have to be like that. There have been some long-standing employees that have moved on, and I still work with to this day. If they have an event, sometimes I get a phone call that says, hey, what can you do? Are you available? Let's do this, what have you. I have one friend that's a photographer that was an employee. And, every now and then, about once a year, I'll get a phone call saying, hey, I got this event. Do you want to do it? Yeah, sure. Let's do it. Go have dinner and, have a good time and, talk about old time's sake.
Yeah, having said all that, I'm still in favor of non-disclosure agreements. I think that that's something that you should definitely have to protect yourself. You don't want people disclosing things to the public or taking things with them that are rightfully yours.
And this is another thing is I've dealt with both. I think that if I've had employees that have come to me that were fully going to go with the intention of going out on their own. They were very helpful. What can I learn? This, blah, blah, blah. Cool with that. There was one, however, that took my contract, cut out his logo, and pasted it onto mine, made a copy of it, and gave it to his client.
Well, that's just not right.
Well, and that's the stuff that's kind of shitty. Funny enough, this must have happened about 10 years ago, and I ran into him last week.
How'd that go?
He came up to me, he smiled, and he said, hi, hello. I said, how are you doing? He said, I'm doing great. How are you? I said, oh, good. So busy. Thank you so much. It's good to see you. And I walked off.
Yeah, and again, I'd like to come back to the mindset though of kind of what I was touching on before, is that if there's an employee that goes rogue, right, and starts a competing operation against you, obviously that's not a good thing. But I think people should have more confidence in their brand, in their business, and if you did things the right way, I tell the guy to bring it on. I wouldn't really be worried about losing or my business failing because one guy opened up shop and is trying to compete against me. The reality is not a lot of people have what it takes to get to that level that you're at if you're doing things the right way.
That's the thing is these people have come and gone, and what can you do?
Yeah, but speaking of this type of stuff, I think the next topic that's important is having a clear understanding with the employee of the expectations of them. And that kind of harkens back to the Kelly Williams episode about setting the expectations with your client. I think it's important to do that with your employees as well. I don't know, some people do things where they have them actually sign agreements or sign their job description. Ryan, I think you do something along these lines.
They sign policies and procedures just like anything else. One of the things that I cannot stand is someone being late. You can do a lot of things. Being late is not one of them. I have that outlined that, you need to be there. You need to be at the office 2 hours before your event starts. And that gives you time to load up everything, get to your event set up. Whenever I say to my client that we're at the event an hour prior, the attendant is in the space that they're supposed to be operating at 1 hour before, not in the parking lot, not pulling up, not getting on to an exit. No. In the space that they're supposed to be at 1 hour prior. It just cuts down on all the confusion. And I found that employees really respect you more if you tell them exactly what is expected of them. That includes dress code. You know what? You can wear jeans so long as they're dark and there's no holes. You can have, a piercing just so long as it's not on, your lip, your nose, and your mouth.
And I don't want people to get lost in the semantics of the detail. Like, oh, do I have them sign a job description? Do they have them sign an agreement? I think the more important takeaway to have here is that you just want to clearly communicate your expectations with the employee. As long as there's that conversation, as long as there's something in front of them where they are clear on what you expect of them, I think that's the main takeaway to take.
Well, and it absolutely needs to be written down. I mean, it just cuts down on the confusion to whenever, we're in Texas, it's flipping hot here, especially in the middle of, July. If we're doing a festival, that's a very casual event. Someone texts me, hey, can I wear shorts? Absolutely. Everyone's going to be wearing shorts. It is blazing hot. Go for it. Someone's wedding, not so much. I mean, so you can absolutely still be flexible with it. Just know that under the circumstances, why it's appropriate or not appropriate.
So how detailed is your job description that you have them sign? Do you break out things like that? Like, this is the dress code. If there's a reason to deviate from it, you have to contact me and ask me, like you said.
No.
How detailed?
No. I don't get that detailed. So what I do is I have, whenever they come in for their interview, I decided I want to hire them. What I go ahead and do is I send them their offer letter and to where, how much they're getting paid per hour, what, when they're starting. And then in that offer letter package, there's all the things that they have to sign. So that is signing their job description and what's included in that, meaning, you need to look clean. You can't be dirty whenever you're at an event. It also outlines the dress code. Jeans, no holes. You need to be wearing your, standard black shirt. If you need to wear black, that's fine. I mean, it doesn't go into that detail, but it absolutely says what I expect of them.
So what about, I know a topic that people really touch on frequently is the training of these new attendants. Some people have them come in for 2-3 events before they let them wander off on their own. Some people do it for way more than that. Ryan, I'm curious to hear how you handle the training.
They are with me for one event. Yes.
Really?
I've been doing it a while to where I know who can hack it and who can't just right off the bat. I have a caterer friend to where whenever she hires a salesperson, so whenever that salesperson comes in, if they're not hitting their goals, 2 months in, they're out of there.
So you're saying you can tell quickly if they can hack it or not. What do you look for? What are the things that you see in that one time? And in that one time, are you setting up and they're helping you?
Yeah.
How are you handling that?
So the way it works is it kind of goes before that. So I bring them in for a group interview, and that's how I do interviews. I used to do one-on-one interviews, and that was fine. However, it took too damn long. So I hire maybe about twice a year. I bring in, groups of 8, 2 groups of 8 every 6 months or so, and kind of bring everyone in. And we do standard questions, a couple exercises. There's, a couple little mind games thrown in there just for the hell of it. One of the things that I found that group interviews really helped me out with is there was one girl about 5 or 6 years ago. She was a rock star on paper. I mean, every answer, she just nailed it. She had a stellar resume. I mean, she went to like an amazing school. I mean, she had like a lot of great experiences. I was ready to hire this chick. She comes into the office. Well, that's another thing. So whenever we're doing group interviews, I don't tell them that it's a group interview. So I said, oh, you know what? Your interview is at 3 p.m. 3:01, someone walks in. 3:02, someone walks in. 3:03, someone walks in. Until they realize, holy shit, this is a group interview. So you kind of get to see how they act under pressure. I enjoy that just because whenever you go to an event, there's likely going to be issues whenever you get there. And your job is how to fix it. So that's number one. This girl, like I said, she was a rock star on paper. We did a group exercise where, we split the group into 4 and 4. And in her group, she was so overbearing, commandeering, I mean, she was not letting anyone get a word in edgewise. I mean, she was so overpowering, it was like disrespectful and rude. So that,
Obviously, you
no,
wouldn't
and
want
that's the
that with
thing
your
is, the
customers.
reason why we do a group interview is because whenever you do a photo booth, you're working in groups. Her big thing was had I not done a group interview, I wouldn't have known that about her. One on one, she was amazing. But the group interview really helped kind of weed the rest of them out.
So for people that are doing this more for over more than one event, or it's three events or more, do you think they're doing it wrong,
No,
or
I
do you
mean,
think that what would your feedback or advice be to people
No,
that
I
are
mean,
doing
you
it
can
over three
do,
events?
whatever it is you need to do. Whenever I do the group interview, we go through like 5 or 6 things. I'm already telling who's pretty smart, who can hack it on their own, who's really good, technologically and can troubleshoot really quick. That's the big thing is, there are times where if we have a broken printer, I'll wait until the group interview to have someone else fix it just so I can see if they would know how to fix it. I give them a problem. You know what? You have a pissed off client. The client comes up to you and says, "Hey, listen, why is this thing not printing? And how do you fix that?" I mean, I give my attendants the authority to be able to fix stuff before it gets to me. And I think that's a big issue or a big point is that I want them to be able to fix it on their own. I don't want to have them be so dependent on me.
Yeah, at the end of the day, people may be overthinking this. Where we're not doing rocket science here. We're not doing brain surgery. It shouldn't be that difficult to train someone to operate a photo booth.
Well, so that's the thing here is whenever I guess they get through the interview process, and if you have successfully gone through that, and I already want you, I know you're going to be fine and I know you're going to do well. There are very rare times where I'm going to have you at an event and then say, you know what, this isn't going to work out. That's generally not going to happen. So what I have them do is I have them come in generally about 3 or 4 days before the event. I don't have it go any further than that because if you learn, the software, you're going to forget it within 2 weeks. So I do it a couple of days before the event just so it's fresh in their mind. They come in, set it up, spend, 3 hours. Hey, do you have any questions? Whatever. Then whenever we get to the event, they set it up entirely on their own and I'm just there to observe.
Yeah, so there are a couple camps that you can fall into. I like to trend more towards the hiring slowly and firing quickly camp. So I'm a bit of a weirdo when it comes to this. I actually have a whole process that I've almost automated completely. I know a lot of people. It depends on your area. I know a lot of people have a hard time getting applicants, but in my area, have found a way to get a lot of applicants. And my problem is vetting through them. So I've created this whole type of system where essentially I post the job online.
Where do you post them
People
at?
apply, and then once they apply, there's a variety of different sites. I get a lot of, in my area, I get a lot of luck with Indeed.com.
Yeah, I do a lot of Indeed too.
Yeah, they make it easy for people to apply. So
Yeah.
that actually gets me tons of applicants.
So
But
they
like I said,
just do like the one click resume, right?
they do, yeah, they do offer the one-click resume. So they're able
Do
to.
you like that? I don't like that.
Well, it depends on how you look at things. I don't mind getting a lot of people to apply. I think that that's fine. It's then just up to me to vet through them. I'd rather have that than have the problem of not being able to find anybody,
Sure.
right? So I do it that way. People apply, and based on their application, they get an auto email back asking them to fill in a questionnaire. And then I select the best questionnaires that I'd want to speak further with, and I do a audio call or a video call. After that, I actually have kind of an online video course where I send them some content online with the software, with the booth set up, and I have a very simple quiz that I have people fill in. And if they pass that quiz and if they pass the questionnaire and I had a good rapport with them on the phone, that's when I bring them in person. And I like to do it as quickly as possible, where I try to do it in one event as well. I generally have them train again in person with me at one event, and then I follow up with that with them doing the event and someone from our team going in and kind of monitoring them. And after that, if there's a comfort level, that's
What I'll
basically
do
it.
is I'm with them through the one event and they'll generally will be fine. I'll let them go out on their own, a couple of times. They're always going to have questions and that's fine. Hey, I don't know which button to press, just FaceTime real quick. No big deal. This one girl that just started with me not too long ago, she was like, "I'm so sorry." I was like, no, it's fine. This is only your second time doing it. Completely understand it.
I also tend to be on the side of letting go of people quickly if it's clear that they're not going to be up to par with what you expect. I think in the beginning of any new job, people want to make a great impression, and if someone is making a horrible impression, I don't like to hold out hope that things will turn around. I know a lot of people
No,
start
it's
these
not.
conversations online like, oh, what should I do? They may
Cut it out quick. You're done.
no,
Goodbye.
no. If they're not really trying to make a great impression in the beginning, then they're not going to work out, in my experience.
No, 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 no. No, no, no. That's the thing is, if I can see if someone is going to make it or not. If they're just standing around on their phone, I'm sorry, just not going to happen.
So I think there's a couple of core qualities that you look for in an employee. I think we touched on a few of them. Number one is punctuality. I mean, if you can't show up on time, you just can't work in this business. It's pretty simple. And I've had people show up late to interviews, and
Goodbye.
that's just, the interview's done. I'm sorry. The other thing is being comfortable with technology. I don't think you necessarily need to be a rock star programmer developer status, but you should be able to troubleshoot basic things. And I think the final thing, if you can check off, you really be an A player, is the personality. I think if you check off 2 out of those 3, you're a solid contributor to the team. But if you have all 3, that's usually employees that I like to.
I will say
try
this:
to maintain
we need
for
to
a long
add
time.
another check mark, pretty, because this is the thing. I have had attendants that are very good looking. There was one, I will never forget it. He went to an event. The booth could have blown the hell up. He could have been taking pictures with his iPhone and people would have been happy. Like, he was just so like magnetic. Everybody loved him. Like, I think that has also something to do with it.
Yeah, I mean, the reality is that there's a lot of studies that support that having people that look good gives people a favorable impression. It makes
No,
just the way it
absolutely.
is, whether it's a male or female.
Whenever we do a couple of activations, there's a couple of agencies that I work with that hire models to help us.
Yeah, and this is why it's really tough for me to stop working as an attendant, because I was the best looking person on my team. It's just, I just couldn't keep doing it.
So this is another thing is once the event is happening, they're on their own. You know, how do you check up on someone without, how do you stay on top of someone without physically being there? One of the things that I've always had, attendants have always, just checked in, sent me a couple text messages. Hey, I'm here. Hey, I just finished. Hey, I have a question. Hey, the client wants to add this, hey, what do you think? Fine with all that stuff. Whenever you scale, and I think this happened whenever I think it was like 8 events in one day. And I was like, listen, I can't do this anymore. My phone is blowing up just from employees alone. Like, I don't have time to back away from it all and just decompress. And that was a little bit difficult. So that's whenever I instituted our little event report.
Yeah, I think this event report is actually very helpful. I learned this from Ryan and started implementing it on my side as well. And a lot of other people have also started implementing it. So I urge people to listen to how Ryan handles this.
So with the event report, it's something that I learned back in catering days. Whenever you do an event, you have your banquet captain take over, you leave after dinner. What happened after that? We do the same thing with photo booths. So the client, this is done in a little web mobile version, so the employee can have it on their phone. I want to know the time that they arrived at the event. First of all, whenever they clock in and clock out on when I work, it's geolocated, so I can see where they're clocking in and clocking out at. I want to know, what? Did the photo booth start on time? Did you meet the client prior to the event? I want 3 photos of your setup. I want looking at the photo booth. I want the photo booth towards the event, and then I want a social media photo that I can post. And what I do is, this has turned into a little competition with some of my attendants. They want their photo on our Instagram, so I will have them kind of competing a little bit. How many pictures did you take? What was the client's comments? Were there any feedback? Was your client happy? What was the mood? Were they pissed off? Were they raging happy? Are we doing another event again? Were there any problems with the software or the equipment, or is there anything that we need to fix? Did they extend their time? All of it, to where I don't have to babysit it. I get a copy of that once the event's done. So, at midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, I'll have all my event reports come through. I will copy that, paste it, and put it into the reservation so that I have it for future reference. There are times where I will have a client from 2 years ago that will say, oh my gosh, we had such a great attendant. Can he do our Christmas party this year? Sure, let me look who did it. Click, 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 click. Go and see who was up 2 years ago. Oh, this person did it. Great, fantastic. They're available. Let's book it. All good to go.
It's funny, as you were going through that story, it kind of took me back to remembering the trials and tribulations I went through trying to figure all these things out. I remember getting your first few employees. As you get more and more experience, you realize, oh, you know what? I need a picture of the booth to make sure everything's fine. Oh, you know what? I need a picture of the booth to put on social media. And I hope people that are listening realize that implementing these things, although they may sound silly, you're kind of leaping ahead and skipping months of trial and error. So hopefully people take this seriously and try to implement it.
I will actually put this on the blog. I will put it in the show notes as its own little PDF.
Oh, yes. Nice. Awesome. I think the thing I really like about your event report, not only does it keep people accountable, which is the main benefit, and it gives you some quality control. I really like being able to know before I follow up with the client after the event if anything went wrong.
Well,
so
and that's the thing is, if anything goes wrong, chances are I'm going to know it before this little event report comes in. Like I'm going to get a text message or phone call. However, this does streamline the process a little bit. So what I really enjoy about it is that I give the attendant the freedom to do whatever they need to do to accomplish their job their way within our parameters of the company, but they still have the freedom to, do whatever it is they need to do.
And I would caution people listening, like if you're still a small operation where you're doing the event yourself, or maybe you have one employee working part-time, I don't think you necessarily need to go crazy with all these systems and processes. Your first goal should be booking more events. But it's good to know these things for whenever you get to that point.
And that's the thing is, it's always good to kind of do this sort of thing just so you can reference back. I looked at events from 5 years ago before I did this, and I was like, well, what happened there? Did anything happen special? Or, on there I have, the weather. Was it raining? Was it cold? Was it hot? All that good stuff. So another reason why I do this is for credit card chargebacks. You will have people occasionally that will charge back on something saying they didn't receive something when they actually did. This happens, I would say, about once a year, where you will have a client that just really spends so much money and they're trying to recoup whatever they can back. I have had this incarnation of the business for 4 years. I have never lost a chargeback. And partially has a lot to do with this event report. The most you can do is document. So if you have they showed up late. You know what? I have a geolocated timestamp of where this employee wasn't late.
They don't know who they're messing with.
Absolutely. And that's the thing, is all because I've been there, I've done that, I've seen it, and it's happened to me over and over and over again. There was one client that said that she didn't receive the photo booth that she paid for. She absolutely did. She just misunderstood, I guess the fine print a little bit. I had a photo, it matched what was on our website and it matched what was on her invoice. So whenever you do these things, you just limit yourself and limit your liability. And it's not because I'm an asshole or because, I just need to give my attendants more work to do. It's only because it is protecting them, it's protecting me. And not only that, it's just kind of cathartic whenever they fill this thing out and you know what, I'm done with this event, it is closed out. On to the next one. So
I'm looking through Nikki's thread, and one other thing that came up was the incentives of employees. How do you incentivize employees? How do you motivate them? I know, Ron, you have
whenever I did an activation where there were bomb dogs in the stadium, I had a conversation with, I guess, one of the, trainers, what have you, and I was like, well, what happens whenever the bomb, if a dog smells a bomb? He goes, oh, he's supposed to sit. I was like, well, how the hell am I supposed to know to get out of the building? I want that damn thing to start barking like crazy so I get the hell out.
That would just incite panic.
So anyways,
come on.
So he told me the way how dogs are rewarded is either with a food reward or a toy reward. And I thought, wow, that kind of applies the same thing to humans. You will find that people are either motivated by money, they are motivated by praise. Oh my gosh, there's actually this book called The 5 Love Languages.
Oh no, I'm ashamed to admit.
It's because you're a good husband.
With this.
So this is the thing. So the 5 languages are how you give love and how you receive love. They are quality time, acts of service, physical touch, words of affirmation, and gifts. I don't recommend that you physically touch your employees. However, the concept is kind of genius. So you just kind of need to find out what makes people tick. I will tell you, the easiest people to be motivated are the ones that are motivated by money. If you are listening to this and I told you that you're going to get $100 for downloading this, you're not. But if I told you that, you would be downloading every single episode we had.
Yeah, but it's surprising that not everyone is actually motivated by money. I think that's something that people should be open to. Although you are motivated by money.
There's a lot of people that are motivated by a simple thank you. If just being appreciative is more than enough. I don't know why. Give me a 20 and I will be appreciative all you want.
And it's actually, I find it easier to deal with people that are motivated by money.
Throw money at the problem.
Pay them more, reward them. Yes. But I've actually had employees that really valued more stuff like flexibility, being empowered, not being micromanaged. that having that autonomy was more important to them than
Whenever
making a few extra bucks. So you have to kind of
whenever you let
understand.
people do what they do best is when they will give you is whenever you give them their opportunity to really shine. I think that I've been most impressed by my employees whenever they do not have constraint, whenever I let them do whatever they want to do. I had one attendant. This is another thing is I've been very like not micromanagey, but I always put the events in the system just as part of like my little routine. And there are times where some events don't have customization on it and it just kind of goes out. I had one attendant that was like, oh, hey, can I do something with this? I was like, yeah, ask your client, see if it's okay. If they approve it, I'm cool with it. Sure enough, he had an extra 45 minutes to kill because he set up early. He went, designed something just in, I think it was in darkroom at the time, just designed something real quick. He sent it to me. It was the most amazing photo template I had ever seen.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Ryan, but I believe the 5 love languages concept is that the issues really come from when you send love differently than you receive it.
I
right?
give gifts as my way of giving love, which is why the swag bags are awesome. However, my way of receiving love is acts of service. I will do anything for you if you take out the trash for me.
And I think that's a very important concept, is that you actually may feel like you are recognizing your employees because you're giving them recognition in the way that you think you would want to receive recognition, but it conflicts with how they receive it. So this is probably not something that you can really automate. You actually have to get to know your people, have conversations with them, understand what makes them tick. And once you get to know that, you can really start pushing the right buttons and have them perform at a high level for you.
I think that one of the issues for me is whenever I hire someone, I also look at selling beyond these 4 walls, selling beyond your event. I think that if, they are at a car wash waiting for their car, chit-chatting with someone, and if the subject of a photo booth comes up, I want them to be able to book it or at least get the information to where I can handle it on Monday.
So you give them incentives to sell the booth at the event, right?
That is not their entire goal. Their goal is to be, I don't have any branding on the booth. I don't have business cards lying out there. I don't have my website or my logo anywhere near the print. I'm just never been about that. However, if we are at an event and a guest makes it a point to come up to one of us and says, hey, listen, how much is this? Can I book this? Can I get more information on it? That's when they have the opportunity to, fill out the digital business card to where they get the credit for it or, what have you.
So what do you think is an appropriate amount to give people as a reward for booking an event for you?
That is entirely up to you. I'm not going to reveal what I do. I know that some people do a percentage. Some people do a flat fee. Whatever you feel is necessary and whatever you think works for your market and whatever you think motivates your employee enough to go ahead and sell it, I think that's entirely up to you.
And whatever works with your economics that keeps you profitable. Make sure you know your numbers. A lot of people don't know their numbers.
I mean, I have a little flexibility to where I kind of, and that, what, that's another thing is I have an attendant. He's in college. He's one of the great ones to really ever work for me. He's always on time. He's really gone above and beyond. I have asked him to drive 4 hours to an event and he's like, sure, no big deal. He's completely fine with it. He asked me, he says, listen, I'm part of this organization at school. Can we work out some sort of deal if, you don't pay me? Absolutely. Whatever works for you. I'm completely fine with that.
What would you say to people that are really, really cautious about selling at events? I know you touched on not having your branding on the photo strips and anywhere at the event. What about the people that think that rewarding the employee for booking the event is unnecessary because you already kind of sold the service by being there? If someone's coming up to the employee and asking them, hey, I'm interested in booking you, they probably are already impressed with the service. They're impressed with your product. No. Are you giving a reward unnecessarily?
You have to make your client you have to make your employee invested enough that you wouldn't be getting that event if that employee wasn't doing their job correctly to a point where everyone was having a good time. So it just kind of works a little bit like a tip. However, I want that attendant to be knowledgeable enough of the business to know how to sell it. And you know what? You don't even have to give out pricing. That is not your job. I completely agree with that. It is not their job to sell it. It is their job to be able to be knowledgeable enough of the business to be able to take down the information and give it to the proper salesperson.
So what information do you need? You just need a way to contact that person.
Give me an email, give me a phone number, give me a date, give me the hours, give me the location. The more I have, the more honed in their price is going to be.
I can definitely see that. I think that a lot of people have seen people come up to their booth, take a business card, and leave, and you never hear from them again, right? So it's very valuable to incentivize your employee to get the contact information so you can actually follow up with those people and not have them become lost leads.
What's worse? Here's a card, bye. No. I want the employee to be personable enough to whenever someone says, oh, how much is it? Because that's usually the first question. How much is it? Well, it ranges from whatever, depending on, what you would like. Rather than handing out a card, I want them to start the relationship and say, oh, well, what's it for? Oh, it's for a wedding. Great. Where's the wedding at? Who's getting married? Oh, I'm getting married. Congratulations. Where did y'all meet? Go through all that crap and get invested with the client. I'm serious. Get invested with that client to where you build the relationship. It's what we talk about on every single episode. Why are people not listening?
Because you're always yelling, Ryan. You got to just simmer down, please. Jeez. But speaking about this, I actually have noticed something that I really like is when I get reviews that actually specifically shout out my employee's name. Like they did such a great job that the client went out of their way to get to know their name and write their name in the review. Do you have any suggestions for people to incentivize their staff to get reviews?
This is a topic that has come up within the last week. And to be honest, I never really thought about it until recently. I think I am going to start doing some sort of monetary flat fee reward for the attendant that reaches out to the customer enough to the point where they are compelled to write, a great review. I think that's great because more often than not, people don't tip like they used to. So this is a way for them to still be able to do a good job. I remember way back whenever tips were almost expected and you got tips all the time. Now, it happens, but it's not as often. So this is a way for them to still get monetarily rewarded for doing a good job, which I have no problem if that comes from me.
Yeah, this is something that can kind of turn into its own episode where we talk about how to help people get more reviews because it's such a critical part of your business. I mean, just today, I got an email from a client that I asked them why they chose us, which I do all the time, and it was the reviews. It's a critical part of your business, and I see nothing wrong with giving an incentive to your staff if they actually result in a review.
That's an interesting concept, I think, is what I don't agree with you emailing your client said, hey, leave us a 5-star review. We'll give you, a gift card or money off the next time. Or I don't really kind of go for that. I don't mind, however, giving money to an employee for reaching out to the client to do that. One of the things that I just went on I went on my first cruise a couple months ago, and on there, I think it was like one of the dining room people said, listen, you're going to get a survey. Whenever you get that survey, can you please write us a great review? We'd really appreciate it. And thank you so much. Absolutely. On there, on that survey, it asked you, did any employee reach out to you and ask you to write a review? The employees should be very proactive about this. I mean, your success as a company is a direct result of their success. And vice versa. You cannot exist without them. They cannot exist without you.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, everyone knows how important it is to have good reviews for your business. But I think the other benefit that comes into play here is that regardless of what your role is, it always helps to have a specific deliverable, right? So rather than saying, as an attendant, my expectation is that you do a good job. Make sure, you do a good job, the customer's happy. It's easier to just say, you know what, get a 5-star review. If you get a 5-star review, I'll reward you, and we'll know that you had a great job.
Yeah, and it's very much an actionable item. Yeah,
metrics. So I find that very helpful, not just for this, but in any other ways you can apply it to other areas of your
customers won't love the business until the employee loves it first. That's my little nugget of wisdom.
That's a great nugget of wisdom. And I think that's a good place to end the episode. I want to shout out a special thanks to Nikki for starting this thread in the group. Again, if you haven't joined the group, make sure you join it. We like to have these productive discussions on there, and we get a lot of topics that we want to talk about on the show from the group.
Thank you so much for listening to us today. For information on A Night in Gotham in New York City, please visit our website at superboothers.com. There are limited seats available, so please get them early. If you want to find out about any of the books we talked about today, like 5 Love Languages, check out our show notes. Also, the blog has information on our event report, and you can download that PDF on there. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next week.